Listen, I get it. Playing TTRPGs in person is really hard nowadays. There's so many things going on and life kind of prevents us from meeting up, whether you're across the country or even just across town. Maybe you just can't get out of your house, but you still want to play. I completely get that. Coming from a person that had to live in a vagabond lifestyle for many years of his life, I now live miles and miles and miles and miles away from all of my closest friends. And so playing in person just isn't possible for me anymore. But I've made it work with playing TTRPGs online. And because I've played TTRPGs online for so long now, I feel like I've gained some insight in how to elevate the experience for your players as a DM. So here are a few things I do for my home game that help elevate the online playing experience and make you feel like you're actually in the room with them. So starting off with the best and easiest way to elevate the experience for your players, I would recommend setting some ambiance, getting the mood started, music and background noise. When I first started doing this, I utilized Discord plugs that would put in Spotify. I'm gonna remember one of those and put it right here. That's good and all, especially if you love creating playlists on whether it was Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, whatever it is. This is fantastic. You just gotta keep track of which track is in line and how it loops and things like that. But if you wanna take it a step further, there are a couple of options that I've utilized currently and in the past that both work tremendously well. First one I'm gonna mention is this app called Pocket Bard. Also, just letting you know that anything I talk about in this video, not sponsored by them. These are just my honest opinions of things I found. Pocket Bard is a small startup. They've gained a lot of popularity, especially online, but they're essentially a tabletop RPG ambiance setter. They come built in with background music that loops automatically no matter what, and even have specific buttons that you can press for, like, this is your exploration inside this area, this is your combat in this sort of area, and then here's your victory noise in this sort of area, and then it loops back around to the explore version. They also have a set of different sound effects for the ambiance that you can set in, or background noises like campfires, waterfalls, lakes, that sort of deal. And they have a huge expansive setting. Best part is they're free for some of their stuff. Granted, if you want to expand your catalog, if you will, they do have like a tiered subscription, but it's about $6-7 a month, so it's not too bad. But I'm gonna give you a bunch of different options, but I love giving free options because everybody's circumstances are different, you know? But I'm also gonna throw the paid options out there as well for those that want to do it. Another option that you can choose that really elevates the experience and has a few more customizable options is Fantasy Plus. And Fantasy Plus is another one of those ambiance centers, except they have a huge array of just a whole bunch of different songs, background music, that sort of deal, as well as sound effects and background looping noises that you can form together to create the perfect scene for that. Little more work, but honestly, a lot more expansive, and I highly recommend it. It's the one that I use right now. The only difference is this one is a paid subscription. Again, this one's like $5 a month. So not too bad, but I still understand that it's not for everybody. The best way I can put it, the difference between these two options, both are very good options, by the way. Pocket Bard is an iPhone, Fantasy Plus is an Android, in the sense that Pocket Bard does what you want to do when you want to do it, and that's about it. Android does what you want to do, but you have to customize it to make it do what you want it to do. And I very much so like exploring these different options and creating the scene that best fits my needs, you know? So I went with Fantasy Plus over Pocket Bard in this scenario, but both are fantastic options. Fantasy Plus is releasing the full version of their app on March 25th, I believe, and they are going to have Discord integration, which is great. But if you want to integrate Pocket Bard into Discord, they're working on it right now. It's a small startup. It's technically in beta still, so they're working on it, but there are workarounds that you can utilize to put Pocket Bard on your Discord server as well. And I will get into that at the end of this video. That's when I'm gonna cover Discord, because it's a beast in itself and it's so useful. But talking about the next thing, specifically I'm gonna go into D&D for this, but there are other resources that you can utilize for other systems such as Call of Cthulhu, Mutants and Masterminds, Pathfinder, that sort of deal. But I'm mainly gonna be talking about D&D in this one, but there are cross-references for each one of these. They can be utilized for the same purpose. The next one I'm gonna talk about are digital character sheets. Now, for my game, I use DndBeyond, which that's the basic choice, you know? It is free for the most part. If you want to utilize other character options and really customize your character, you have to buy the books in order to do that, which is a bummer for sure. But there are other options out there. One good one that I've seen was MorePurpleMoreBetter's 5th edition digital character sheets. They are a pay what you want system. So you make a small donation, you get the digital character sheets. And I believe it's self-fill-in. I'm not exactly sure on that. I just did a little bit more research onto this because, truth be told, I'm a creature of habit. So if something works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this one I've seen some amazing reviews for. So I would highly recommend checking it out if that's something you want to do and you don't want to go with DndBeyond. But if all that fails, there are D&D character sheets you can download. Just go with the paper ones, build them by hand. It's not the worst thing in the world. Granted, these digital character sheets do make it easier to build a character, but it's not the end of the world if you got to build it by hand. It's what our ancestors did. It's what I did when I was a young whippersnapper. But yes, getting all of your character sheets in order and making the process as easy as you can for your players is all in all better. You know what I mean? Because I don't know the circumstances that your players have or the experience that they have, but if they're starting new, helping them through DndBeyond might be a good way to start, but also you can walk them through building an actual character with a character sheet. Not the worst thing in the world. Another thing I'm going to talk about is virtual tabletops. Now, virtual tabletops are not an essential part of the online D&D experience because Theater of the Mind was the way to play for a majority of time of D&D. In fact, playing with a battle map was a variant rule up until I think the 2024 edition of D&D. And so it's not necessary, but I do err on the side of caution for everybody who wants to play in Theater of the Mind. If you play in Theater of the Mind, you have to explain everything. That way there are no surprises, but there are very many good options for virtual tabletops. Unfortunately, a majority of the options are pay to play, which that sucks, but they have free versions a majority of the time as well. DndBeyond has its D&D Maps version. I believe that's still only available to master tier subscriptions, which is again $6 a month, and it is still in beta. They're still working out the kinks of it. I haven't played in it since it's gone into beta. I was playing it in alpha. It was still kind of buggy, but they're working on it, so I would stay updated with that one, but it's not necessarily my first choice. Another one I've heard is Owlbear Rodeo, which does have a free option and it gives you all the tools. You just have limited space for maps. Another one, a classic one that everybody knows, is Roll20. But I haven't tried it since that thing happened where everybody had to stay home and I was trying to play D&D with people. And when I tried it, it was like you had all the parts of the computer, but you got to figure out how to put it together. You know, it is a steep learning curve. But I assume, just like all things, the more you do it, the more you utilize it, the easier it'll get. I just didn't take the time to utilize it, and I just started looking for other options after that. Another good thing about Roll20 that I discovered in my research, they didn't have this when I first started out. At least I didn't play around with it enough to figure out if they did have this, but they have voice and video integration in it. They have built-in character sheets. They have virtual tabletops. There's little latency between it. It's very nice, but again, it's got paid options, and I'm not sure how expansive the free option is at this time. But that does bring me to my recommendation, which is for people who want to role play on the cheap, which is I utilize actually a Discord feature for the virtual tabletop. No, it's not the Roll20 feature on it. I utilize the whiteboard on Discord. The whiteboard is very simple. All you do is have to upload a map. You upload your character icons. You can circle things. You can create shapes, that sort of deal for effects and keeping track of concentration and things like that. But it's there, it's useful, it's free, and it's super easy. I have a subscription to a map making software called Inkarnate, and that is where I build my battle maps. I can figure it out. That's another thing, Inkarnate, building maps if you want to utilize a virtual tabletop and don't have the tools in the virtual tabletop to build the maps integrated into the system. Utilizing map builders are really great. I use Inkarnate. They've got a lot of tools, a lot of stamps, really fun to use, and not too steep of a learning curve on that one as well. It's very much a point and click sort of deal. But utilizing that in the whiteboard is how I utilize my combat scenarios with my home game, which does bring me to Discord, which I feel is the essential need for a online tabletop experience. Discord, you just create a server, have all your players join it. You have the voice and video chat for when you're doing session. You have a bunch of different channels for different things. I've got one for world info. I've got a channel for character info. I've got a channel for general posts where we utilize schedules and things like that. I've got a post for memes because memes are very important to the tabletop role-playing sphere. If you don't utilize the memes, what are you doing with your life? The joy is gone. But there are so many different different Discord bots that people have built. Some of them free, some of them not, some pay what you want. So depending on your circumstances, you can utilize it however you'd want. DndBeyond has an integration into Discord called Avrae. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If not, I will have it right here with the correct spelling of it. Again, with utilizing Pocket Bard, they don't have Discord integration yet. I use Kenku FM and a virtual output cord to put Pocket Bard into the chat with us so that my players can hear it and everybody's in tune with it. And it's a lot easier than it sounds, trust me. I wasn't the most tech savvy. I didn't grow up with a phone or a computer, so I've had to learn a lot of tech stuff in my adult life, but that's basically a need to have for a tabletop experience. Sure, you could play it over Zoom if you want. You could Skype it in. You could even just have an Instagram group chat where everybody, joins the call or something like that. Literally utilize the tools that you know best. That's what I like to say. But I feel it is best to organize it on a Discord server because you can line it out and everybody knows exactly where to go, exactly what time, and you can schedule things and also have side conversations and not have them interfere with the scheduling things or the general information. So it's fun. But that's basically it for my recommendations for elevating your online tabletop experience. If anybody has any other recommendations, please throw them down in the comments. I would love to get discussions started and recommendations for everybody else who plays online. And also, I'm going to put links for all the things that I mentioned down in the description of this video. So if you want to, check them out. Please support the people that make these amazing tools that make our tabletop role-playing experience even better. But nonetheless, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you gained some experience out of this, some information that you can take with you into your tabletop role-playing experiences. If you like this, please like and subscribe. I've got more videos that you can check out on my channel. I do a whole Reddit series where we do Reddit horror stories and then end with the glory stories, and all the glory stories are worth it at the end. I've also got tips for new DMs, tips for new players. I did a deep dive into Dungeons and Dragons itself, and just to tease a little video coming out soon, I'm doing a deep dive into Call of Cthulhu next, so stay tuned for that. But nonetheless, keep an eye on this channel because more videos will be coming out soon. Until they do, I will catch you in the next one.